everybody, it's Meg Czapiewski with Honorable Service Realty Group, and I'm here with your market report. These are June's numbers, so they just hit the presses. Let me share my screen, and we will hop into it. All right, I'm gonna put it into presentation mode just to make the slides a wee bit bigger. There we go. All right, so we're gonna start off in Fairfax with pending sales. These are the things that went under contract just in the month of June. And this downward slope that we see is very, very typical. Things, start at the beginning of the year and they start ramping up through the spring. And by the time Memorial Day hits, we start to see a drop off. By the time kids are out of school, people are off doing things that are way more fun than shopping for homes. So the good news is that this, though a 0.5% isn't all that significant, you'll see in the other two counties that we're looking at that this number at least is in the positives, right? It is not a substantially different number than what we had last year, but there is some growth, and that is good news story. This slide, I would tell you, is probably what captures what's going on in our market the best. The juxtaposition of days on market, which is how long does it take something that's selling, that got under contract, how long did it sit on the market before it got under contract, and then your months of supply, based on the number of people that are buying, how much longer would it take to get through all this inventory that's sitting on the market if no other new homes came on the market? So this says, oh my gosh, we're selling in 8 days, median number of 8 days. That's great, and it is great. But then you come over here and you're like, wait a minute, almost 2 months. That's not eight days. That's like 8 weeks. Correct, because what's selling and what's sitting is really what describes what we're experiencing in today's market. Days on market, this is actually better than where we were this time last year, but inventory, almost a 10% growth year over year compared to where we were in June of 2025. How does that impact home sales? Well, ninth it was at 10th grade economics, supply and demand. There's a lot of supply right now, relatively speaking. Now, a balanced market by definition is 6 months. It takes 6 months. You have 6 months of inventory. That's like it's the halfway point. So that's the balance. But in reality, that does not feel balanced at all. It's very buyer friendly, almost too much buyer friendly. So what we're experiencing is that we are in a modest buyer-friendly market. Not always, not every home, not every neighborhood, not every month of the year, but right now, that's what we're experiencing for the most part. The average, or rather median, single-family home sales price is $1 million. And that's just a slight increase from where they were in June of 2025. In townhomes, 650,000, pretty much a flat line. The difference between May and June was like $3,000, and there was no change between April and May. So it's pretty steady, not growth, but not decline. Where we saw the growth was in the condos, and there could be a handful of reasons for that. People that are just shifting to something more affordable, or something that is less of a potential money pit because the condominium association covers a lot of those expenses. That 4.5% growth, actually, there were a lot of months here where they were in the negatives. So that's kind of a good news story for those that are selling condos, or those that own condos and that want to see some equity growth. All right, let's take a look at Prince William County. Another drop off, right? Not surprising. And that's a notable, I shouldn't say substantial, but it's a notable statistical increase between 2026, and 2025, that we're seeing a little bit more activity in Prince William County home sales. Similar expressions or balance, if you will, between, and I'm sorry about this, I just saw that, but there's some stray numbers that showed up on the slide. Focus on the 12.5, that's the relevant one. In June, though, still under 10 days on market, so that's great. And the people that are experiencing a 12.5% increase over what was experienced last year, they don't care because they sold their home in under 2 weeks, 9 days on market. And this is where those that are not selling are sitting. And we're just about at that 2-month mark, and it was an increase year over year of 21%. For instance, this was an increase of 20%. So there is absolutely an accumulation of inventory that's occurring in Prince William County. How is that impacting home values? For the most part, I'd say a straight line. I mean, January, I feel, is a bit of an anomaly. I don't think that that's related to the supply and demand so much as it was just the end of the year. It was January. There were some things left on the market, and people got good deals at that time because they were deals that other people had passed on for some time. This is when we start to see new inventory come on the market. That spring market starts in February, and there's been a steady climb with just a slight month over month, but year over year, pretty much aligned with your national average of around 2.5% to 3% of equity in home values. Townhomes, they experienced a bigger boom, both month over month and year over year. So that's good news. People are maybe needing to look in more affordable price brackets, and that's why you're seeing that growth. Stafford. All right, so Stafford always tends to lag just a little bit on the timeline as the other counties. Seems like the further south you go. So while they also saw that drop down, they've been in growth mode, and year over year, 8.8%. The activity levels are still fairly decent there. We may see a drop off finally in July's numbers. When you look at days on market, that's 12. That represents 12 days on market. So not huge, but definitely an increase year over year. That's a pretty significant increase year over year from what we were experiencing in June before. And then months of supply, this is where it hurts, guys. It's like they're well past the 2 months and have been since March. Stuff is sitting. I don't know if it's an unusual number of people deciding to list. I don't have that slide, but it's either that or it's just a smaller number of people buying. But if we go back to that previous slide, this number is high, right? And it's growth. It's not high, but there's growth there. There's more activity. There's more buyers. So that would tell me then that what we're really seeing is more sellers have decided to come to the market this year, and only a portion of them are getting their home sold. So median sales price, while it does look like it's in an upward trend, you can see these last couple of months, they've been negatives. Less of a negative this month than last month, so that's a positive direction. But that 3-month of inventory sitting on the market is definitely a player in why these home values year over year are not showing an increase in value and are instead reflecting a decrease in value. Not as much on the townhomes, again, more affordable price bracket for sure, and it's pretty much a flat line both in terms of month to month and year to year. So what's the takeaways here? Well, it's like a Goldilocks kind of. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's just kind of sitting there. I wouldn't say it's just right. I probably shouldn't have stopped sharing. because that was a slide that was worth seeing. There we go. But in terms of activity, we're just kind of in a flat line for the most part. July is traditionally a slow month. In fact, it's kind of a joke in the real estate world. Realtors should take their vacations in July because nothing ever happens. The bottom line is July is very quiet. People truly are having more fun than out there shopping for homes. So we would expect to see lower pendings, potentially lower equity. But keep in mind, while it may be a month over month, the year over year may not be telling a bad story. It didn't in Prince William County for sure. And depending on which sector, townhome, condo, or single family, it didn't in Fairfax either. So your year over year growth is what's most important, because month to month, what that is really telling us is which months are hotter to get a better price, but it doesn't tell you what your home is worth today versus like next month. If it goes down, it's your home is really not worth less. It's just those were the numbers that came in this month. Try to a cumulative 12-month is really what we would focus on in that case. But what we've been seeing over a year now is that the median days on market continues to stay pretty tight in under 2 weeks, while the supply continues to rise 2 months, 3 months in Stafford. And that extra inventory is ultimately going to impact our overall home value increases. I don't think that we'll see strong negative numbers over the course of 12 months. I think that we'll fall right in with that national average of 2 to 3%, which is not where we were used to being. We had a very transient community. We have a lot of people who come to our metro area with expectations of high salaries and then can afford to be homeowners. And so our equity growth has always outpaced the national average. And what we're really seeing now is that that couldn't continue for forever, and it's settling into that national average. The disconnect between days on market and accumulation really speaks to how do you get to be on that top left graph and not on the bottom right graph, and that is preparation and pricing. That is absolutely an area where realtors who have resources and negotiation skills and can interpret the market can help you. And it's a very hyper local market. Like what you do in one neighborhood, you might not waste your money on in a different neighborhood. But the bottom line is that buyers have the opportunity right now to be choosy, and you want to be chosen. And the things that you need to do to become chosen are very clearly prep and price. Right off the bat, get it right. You only have 8 to 12 days to capture their interest. So we'd love to help. I hope this was helpful. We do have a mid-year market review coming up on July 22nd. So we'd love to have you sign up to that. We'll share a lot more of the data and a lot more of the helpful hints to help you get on that quick days on market and not the accumulating inventory. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it always. We'll see you next month. Bye.